My name is Simon Schur, and welcome to my tutorial on stances. Stances are the foundation on which we build all of our other techniques. So if your stances aren't correct, then all of the other techniques will be starting from a flawed base, and so will be less stable, less powerful, and less effective. All stances share several common elements. Number one, you want your back straight. That way your body will be centered over your stance. Number two, your knees, if bent, should be bent at a 120-degree angle. Not more, not less. If the leg is straight, then it's straight. If it's bent at 120. That's the ideal angle for any joint in the human body. You should have your shoulders relaxed, never be tensed up. You should have your abdomen tight and secure, centered. Your weight distribution should be correct for the stance that you're in. Your facing needs to be correct, whether you're full facing, quarter facing, or side facing. The first stance we're going to talk about is the front stance. A perfect description of the front stance is the feet are one shoulder width apart in width, 1.5 shoulders apart in length, from the back of the heel to the front of the back foot. The middle toe from both feet should ideally be pointing in the direction you're going, though depending on the flexibility of your reverse leg calf, it could be slightly turned out. Both heels are on the floor. The front knee is bent at a 120-degree angle, the back leg is straight. Your hips should be either full facing if you're striking, or quarter facing or side facing to the diagonal if you are blocking. Your weight distribution is 50-50. You should have exactly the same amount of weight on each leg. If someone pulls you forward, you should easily be able to resist on your front leg. If someone pushes you backward, you should be able to easily resist falling backwards on your back leg. So you have forward and back resistance. If someone pushes you from one side or the other, you're going to fall over. Front stance is not a side-to-side strong stance. It's a front-to-back stance. If someone's coming at you with a lot of punches, you'll be able to resist it. A couple of common mistakes people make when making a front stance is they bend the front knee too much and put too much weight on the front leg. If you do that, you don't have resistance backwards, but you do have resistance forwards. You're going to have a hard time moving backwards, and you're going to have a hard time actually propelling yourself forwards. It's going to take a lot of muscle and tension, and you're not going to be able to relax into your step. If you're throwing a really powerful technique and you're expecting a lot of rebound force, if you're throwing a reverse punch, and the person is really big, and you expect to be stumble backwards a little bit, a front stance will help you resist that. In every stance that you perform, the front leg will be bent. There's no stances with a straight front leg. The reason is that's the leg closest to your opponent, and if your opponent's kick is too low, or they step down too hard, too high, they could easily break your leg. So the leg close to the opponent is always bent, so it doesn't get broken easily. The weaknesses of the front stance. Yes, you can move forward and backward relatively easily, but you can't move side to side very easily. It takes a lot of weight shifting. Your body is relatively full facing. It's very hard to get side facing in a stable front stance. So you're not going to be able to defend as easily as you can attack. You can resist an attack, but you may get hit in a vital target in the process. The front stance, though you can move through it by shifting your weight forward and backwards, it's not the most mobile stance. It's more forward mobile than backward mobile. But that back leg is straight and locked out to act as a buttress to an oncoming force. So it's going to be harder to move backwards than to move forwards. There are several variations of the front stance. There's the long stance or lunging stance, in which it's about 2 shoulder widths in length, and your front knee is bent a little bit more than the 120. This is a very low stance, hard to move from, but you can use it if you need to reach a more distant target and want to maintain your back leg. There's a pattern where you do a shift spear from a front stance into a long stance. There's the modified front stance, where the stance is only 1 shoulder width in length, and the back knee is bent and the back heel is off the ground. This one is used mostly to stay mobile when using hand techniques. So you can lock the back leg quickly for resistance, you can bend it, pick the back heel up, and move forward and backwards, side to side, while throwing jab crosses, having a lot of mobility in your hips. So I use modified front stance a lot for if you're doing heavy punching. There's a technique called a standing stance, where you're in a front stance, the front leg's bent barely, and your legs are about a half a shoulder width apart. Both legs are flat, the weight is evenly distributed. They use this in WTF Taekwon-Do in a pattern called Kicho 1. The first move is in a standing stance. You do have a lot of mobility, but it's not a very stable stance. If you get hit in a standing stance, you'll get easily knocked over. Thank you very much for watching my stances tutorial. Please don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. Check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. And check out my new blog, themartialartsmanual.com. We'll have lots of similar information to this on the blog site.